Hello guys, Team Red and Red here. We're here with Ben. Tell us,
Hi.
what did you do?
I got top 64 at YCS Birmingham playing Traptrix Ryzeal, or like a Traptrix variation of pure Ryzeal, I guess. It's just a few Traptrix cards, so I don't know if it's really a Traptrix deck. But yeah, had a lot of fun. Went 10-2 in Swiss, losing round 8 to pure Ryzeal, and round 10 to Mermail. And then top 64 to Fiendsmith Ryzeal, because I only opened one play, got drolled game 1, and then game 2 I just bricked. But yeah, I'll just get right into the deck profile and explain as I go. So the one Traptrix main deck monster I played was Traptrix Mermail. It is searchable by the Traptrix rank 4, Traptrix Pinguicula, and the main idea was that it's a bit of a better line through Fuvalos, because in pure Ryzeal you typically start with X Ryzeal if you can, and then summon Sword. Then they have to Fuvalos you, and at that point, if you make Detonator pass, that's usually a strong board, but the format is so Ryzeal centric that everybody's on Metal Tronus, Imperm, Slayer, infinite outs to Detonator, so every time you end on Detonator, it gets outed immediately, basically. And if you do
Pinguicula, duelists of the third place playoff for the last time this weekend. Your round starts now.
If you make Pinguicula itself is an interruption. I'll explain that later. But you search Mermail, normal Mermail, and get a trap hole, and it's really hard for your opponent to interact with the trap hole. So you always have interruption. Provided by your engine from Fuvalos, under Fuvalos, and you still have follow-up. Yeah, so more about that later. Then Ryzeal names, just standard. 3 ice, 3 X, 3 sword, 1 note. Hand traps, 3 Fuvalos. Really good, especially because the most common Ryzeal variant before this YCS was Fiendsmith Ryzeal. This YCS Pure Ryzeal was a little bit more common, but still very good, especially because Malice is also widely represented. Then 3 Ash, 3 Veiler, 3 Imperm, all 9 of the standard ones. Some people are cutting Veiler, but my intention with this deck building was just to stop as many starters as I can, hopefully draw multiples of these. Then I played 3 draw in addition. I wasn't sure about this before the tournament, but as I went and every time I drew it, it was really good, because it makes it easier for you to win the grind game. You drop this game turn 1, your opponent ends on a mediocre board and doesn't have a lot of follow-up. And then if you play into their board and break it, it gets really hard for them to come back turn 3. Because Ryzeal mirrors usually go more than 2 turns, so that's really important. I played 2 Nib. I only played 2 Nib because I think, especially the Malice deck, how it's evolved, people respect Nib a lot, so it's not as good against that anymore. Because even a minimal board can be quite annoying to deal with in the grind. And I didn't want as many hand traps to be dead in the grind game, so Nibiru, you're most likely only going to resolve 1 in the game, if anything at all, same for draw. So I didn't want to run playsets of both of these. It also conflicts with X Ryzeal, so it's a little bit worse in this deck. Then for spells, 3 Bonfire of course, 3 Metal Tronus. This is not as spicy anymore as it used to be. It's insane in the Ryzeal matchups. It's usable in pretty much any other matchup, unless you get like a rogue deck for real. So yeah, I think a lot of people were on this in the main, or at least in the side, but probably in the main. 1 cross, because I'm not running Desires, only 1 Prosperity. I don't have to run multiples of this. I think it really sucks to draw this. Yes, sometimes if you go first, or if you have already broken the board, makes it easier to set up interruption, because your duo drive is either protected or you don't even have to make one. But I still think it's not a great card to draw. 1 Cult by the Grave, and then 3 trap holes. The Ryzeal trap hole, because it outs Chaos Angel and there's very cool interactions with it. Because it's a whole trap, Traptrix Ryzeal can send it. So you can basically use Ryzeal at any point as long as you control a Ryzeal XYZ to destroy 1 card. And the other trap holes are more reactive, so it's really good. So that's really cool. And you can use the Grave effect to XYZ summon more freely now, because Eclipse Twin exists. So you can also overlay XYZ monsters and try to dodge removal or interruption on those XYZ monsters. There's a neat interaction with Duo Drive I can show off at the end of this that makes it really cool. Also, it outs Chaos Angel, which is otherwise really hard for this deck, unless you draw like non-engine like Metal Thrones or Imperm. Then Gravedigger's Trap Hole and Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare. Gravedigger's Trap Hole is probably self-explanatory. I'm on Ryzeal to negate hand traps to force through Duo Drive and just negates hand traps, and also banished effects. So even if you don't have to use this turn 1, especially against stuff like Malice or maybe even a Fiendsmith card, it's still a real interruption. I got to use this in my feature match against Mitsurugi, against the Mitsurugi effect. Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare. This is just here because it's the most generic interruption on Ryzeal that's also rather impactful. I wanted to have a good target for Ryzeal when she stays on the field, and this was very generic. I think it's always decent, especially to draw. If you draw this, it's not bad. It's kind of like a mini strike. Of course, strike's slightly better, but this is searchable. And it's also the card that I usually go for off Mermelio if I resolve that combo. That's for the main deck. Then extra deck, I ran Traptrix Pinguicola. So this is the one that's special, kind of. Ryzeal is not, of course, my idea, but Pinguicola I came up with because I wanted to see which rank 4 strategies you could combine with Ryzeal, and then I started testing with Traptrix, started cutting down on the strategy a bit, ended on only 1 Traptrix monster in the main deck, and the Pinguicola, because this searches the Mermelio, but it also is an interruption. It says if a monster owned by your opponent is sent to the graveyard by card effect or banished by card effect, she can attach it as material. So that's really good against Fiendsmith Tract or Malice names that get banished. So it's basically another interruption on your opponent's turn, while also searching Mermelio that searches a trap hole. So you get 2 interruptions out of this, and it's really hard to interact with, because this is unaffected by traps and the types of monsters that she is attached. So usually you have like a Pyro and a Thunder under it. Doesn't do too much unless, other than being unaffected by Detonator. But yeah, I had 1 match in round 9 where my opponent had Veiloed this, so he didn't even get to search the Mermelio. But then he had Imperm, which he couldn't use because this is unaffected by it, and Tract, which was not a play because this basically just steals the Lurry and then he can't do anything with it. Then Traptrix Ryzeal, probably the MVP of the weekend. Its effect is basically just it's unaffected by traps, your opponent can't destroy or target other Traptrix, and you can send a trap hole from deck for cost to copy its effect. So usually how you use this is...
Attention duelists of the final Mega Challenge. It is time on the round. It is time on the round.
So what you do is you make this first before you make Duo Drive, and then you force through the Duo Drive because you can negate monster hand traps with this, and you can also dodge Imperm. I can show that off after I showed all the cards. I think it's a really cool interaction. Then I played 1 Duo Drive. I don't think you really need more than 1, because I only commit to it when I know it resolves, and Eclipse Twin can recycle it. So I think the second one is kind of fake. Also with Ryzeal, there's a much higher chance for the first one to resolve. Then I'm on 3 Detonator, just because this is like the main win con of the deck, and we play Metal Tronus, so it's not uncommon that we banish one of Metal Tronus and then I want to still have 2. It's also the name that you send with X if you want to send a Ryzeal name to attach with Duo.
Attention duelists, if you are in the queue for the prize wall and you only wish to collect OTS packs, you can go to the queue on the left side, which will be much faster.
I played...
Once again, attention duelists, OTS packs have a separate queue on the left which will be processing much faster than the generic Ryzeal cube.
Okay, so I played 2 Eclipse Twins. Card is really broken. It enables the Rafflesia combos. It enables so many cool plays with the Ryzeal Trample Engrave. And of course it recurs any of these XYZs. So yes, I also revive Rafflesia with that very often. It will explain itself in a bit. Then I played Light Dragon Antagonistor. It's good removal, especially for stuff like nip tokens or cards, monsters that are really big. And it's also a Metaltronus target for Malice on White Binder that can be summoned if you're rank 4 locked. 1 Abyss Dweller, self-explanatory. 1 Excite Knight, same thing. 1 Dugaris. I don't actually go for this very often because I usually use my extra rank 4 to make Rafflesia turn 1, but it's still nice to have. Then 1 Aggregator, of course. Typhon. I think in a hand trap deck this card is really good. I know a lot of people think it's like a concession or like a concede button if you make this, but the reality is that yes, you can always make this basically in a losing or like if you're behind, but some of those games it will actually win you, so I personally wouldn't get distracted too much with that you're losing majority of games where you make this, just because you can make this. And then the last card was Zeus. I never made it. In theory, I thought it's quite nice because you can, sometimes if only Rafflesia survives, she puts no aggressive pressure on your opponent. So you can just turn Rafflesia into Zeus and make it a big monster. But yeah, I think this is optional. Could also be Donner or whatever. So there's a few spots. Then side deck pretty straightforward. 3 Lancia, 3 Meows. Main deck is mostly focused on Ryzeal with Metaltronus, Droll, etc. So I wanted to make sure the Malice matchup was winnable. Then I played 3 Cyclo Reader, which was for Fiendsmith, because pure Ryzeal really struggles with the Fiendsmith engine, especially with the trap. And if you play stuff like Byss Shield, which also conflict with your engine, I think it's much less effective, because this takes away the trap interruption and the engraver body for the grind. So you don't have to worry about either Byss Shielding Requiem or the engraver, you can just remove both. 3 Inscription, also Malice, and some niche coverage, like Mitsurugi or Murmur. 3 Strike, best going first card. You can also side this against pure Ryzeal going second, just because you're going to have a grind game, and this card is very strong, can hardly be interacted with. So yep. So I want to show off the combo that I did with Rafflesia to dodge impermanence, which was you would try to start something like X Ryzeal, for example. You would summon X, send Eclipse Twins, X effect, searches Sword special effect, search Ice. Now at this point, your opponent would use Fubulas, because you have 2 bodies and you threaten to go into Duo Drive here, but you're not going to do that. Instead you're going to normal summon Ice, because if you go Rafflesia here and then normal summon Ice, you can play around Imperm in that spot, and they're inclined to hand trap this card then, and then you would end on nothing. Not everybody would do, but if they do, then you would be screwed. So I always normal summon Ice here, get another X or Sword, it doesn't really matter. Let's say we get another X. Then here we want to overlay Ice and X for Rafflesia. I always do it like this, so that we can detach Sword and X from Duo Drive, because those are the more important names to have in deck than Ice, because you get rid of these faster. And then you overlay for Duo Drive. So here you're going to use Duo Drive Search effect. Keep in mind this loses to Imperm if they imprint the Duo Drive on summon for some reason. But right now, or like on the weekend, nobody knew what was happening, so I would go Duo Drive effect. They would read Rafflesia. They probably know about Gravedigger's Trap Hole, so they would be like, okay, cool, my imprint resolves. So they would imprint the Duo Drive, and what Rafflesia would do is he would chain it, send Plasma Trap Hole, target the imperm, and to destroy it. But the more important part is that Plasma Hole is now in your grave, and since it's a trap and Rafflesia sends for cost, you can chain it. So it is channeling 1 Duo Drive, channeling 2 imperm, channeling 3 Rafflesia, channeling 4 Plasma Hole to make an XYZ summon. And since Eclipse Twins exist, you can just overlay Duo Drive and Rafflesia for a second Eclipse Twin.
Attention duelists of the final Mega Challenge. Lucas Prince, Ollie Davis, Richard Fedema, Marco Ankel. Please report your results. You have 5 minutes, as both of you will receive a double game loss.
And because Duo Drive can detach from any XYZ, we can now resolve the Duo Drive since we successfully dodged the imperm with the Plasma Hole, detach from the twins to search 2. We're going to search Node and Ryzeal Cross. You can activate Cross here or keep it. Then you special summon the Node. Then Node will send the Eclipse Twins. Special summon a sword to your field. Eclipse Twins will trigger, targeting Rafflesia and the other Eclipse Twin. So you will get it back. And then you will overlay for Detonator, and then attach the second Eclipse Twin. So you still have Rafflesia on your opponent's turn to send Trap Hole Nightmare or Gravediggers. We can even use it in the same turn again because it's soft ones per turn. And you get the Detonator, you play through Imperm. You get the Cross, you can get the draw here if you want. So yeah, and Rafflesia at the same time checks any monster hand trap because of Gravediggers easily. So yes, my tactic was basically force through Duo Drive with this every game, and it was pretty successful. Only issue I had was against the Pure Mirror, where he had a lot of board breakers, where he went Duster, Slayer, whatever, and yeah, that just broke my board. I couldn't do anything. Alright, so first of all, shoutouts to my team, everybody that came to YCS Birmingham with me. Shoutouts to David and Denny for traveling with me and testing with me. Shoutouts to Johannes Bauer for testing with me, encouraging me to play my techs. Shoutouts to Ty for telling me I should just go with my gut, because I was here on Friday and had a bit of doubts whether I should just play normal pure Ryzeal or like maybe the Rafflesia stuff, but not the Mermelio. And I'm glad that I did. It feels cool topping with your special tech. And yeah, shoutouts to Raid and Trade, sponsors. And yeah, go follow our social media. There's going to be more deck profiles soon again. Kaz playing the final right now, praying that he wins. And hopefully he will be champion as you see this profile. Alright, see you guys next time. Signing out.